I always believed marriage was built on trust. That belief died the night I realized my wife was a stranger wearing the face of the woman I loved. We'd been married for 7 years. 7 quiet, comfortable years. Our home wasn't huge, but it was ours. 2 stories, a small garden, a place where laughter used to live. We had routines, morning coffee together, Friday movie nights, weekend hikes. It was simple, predictable, safe. But something about safe can slowly turn into stale, and I didn't see it happening until it was too late. Her name was Emily, a smile that could light up any room, but lately that light only flickered for other people, not me. I blamed stress, her job, the weather, anything that wasn't her heart drifting away. It started small. She'd come home later, claim a team meeting. Then it became gym sessions that somehow lasted 3 hours. At first, I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Then the signs started piling up. Perfume that wasn't hers, a phone that never left her hand, showers that lasted just a little too long, and a new kind of silence, the kind that felt like a wall between us. One night, I walked past the bathroom while she was inside. The sound of her laughter, soft, intimate, echoed off the tiles. She wasn't on a call. She was recording a voice note. When she came out, I asked who she was talking to. She said, "Just Sarah from work." Except I'd met Sarah. Sarah had a deep voice, not the man's chuckle I'd just heard replay through the thin door. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to her, staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds between her breaths, wondering when she had started lying so easily. By morning, my chest felt hollow, and yet I still couldn't confront her, because part of me hoped I was wrong. The next week, I tried everything to save what was left. I planned a surprise dinner, made her favorite dish, lit candles like we used to when we were broke and romantic. She came home late, didn't notice the setup, didn't care. She just mumbled, "I'm exhausted," kissed my cheek like she was punching a time card, and went straight to bed. That was the moment something inside me broke. Not from anger, from realization. The woman sleeping next to me wasn't my partner anymore. She was a ghost wearing my wife's face, and I was done pretending not to see it. The days after that night stretched endlessly. I couldn't look at Emma the same way, even though she didn't yet know that I knew. Every time she laughed, every time she touched me, it felt rehearsed, like she was following a script she'd written long ago, one that ended with me still clueless. But I wasn't clueless anymore. I started noticing everything. The way her phone was always upside down, the sudden late meetings, the way she'd start humming after texting. I knew those signs because I'd read every message. I didn't confront her right away. Part of me wanted to. The other part wanted to watch her hang herself with her lies. It was cruel, I know, but I needed to see how far she'd go. So I waited. I played the role of the perfect husband, made her coffee in the mornings, kissed her goodbye, and said, "I love you." Every time those words left my mouth, they tasted like rust. 3 days later, I told her I had to travel for work. She smiled, too easily. She said she'd miss me, then went back to scrolling her phone. I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in a motel on the other side of town. That night, I watched her through the camera feed from the house. I'd installed one discreetly the day before, hidden in the living room clock. It was reckless, maybe even paranoid, but something in me needed proof beyond the messages. At 8:47 p.m., I saw her open the door. He walked in. My best friend, the same man who was my best man at the wedding, who helped me move into that house, who held my newborn daughter while I cried from joy. He hugged her like he'd done it 1,000 times, and she melted into him like she belonged there. I didn't cry, not yet. I just watched them laugh, watched them drink, watched them move to the couch.
It was like someone else's life, like a movie playing on a screen I couldn't turn off. Then they disappeared into the bedroom. That's when the tears came. Not from heartbreak, but from the realization that everything I'd built, every memory, every smile, every I love you, was built on a lie. I left the motel at midnight, drove aimlessly until the sun came up. I don't even remember where I went, just that the world outside looked different, emptier. When I got back home the next morning, she was in the kitchen making pancakes. She looked up, smiled, kissed me on the cheek. "You're home early," she said. And that's when I realized she'd never stop lying. Not until I forced her to. I stood there in the doorway, my coat still on, the smell of her pancakes filling the kitchen. For a second, I almost forgot what I'd seen. Almost. She looked so normal. Hair tied up, wearing my t-shirt, humming to herself. "How's the trip?" she asked, without turning around. "It was long," I said. My voice sounded strange, hollow. I placed my phone on the counter, screen facing up. Her phone was beside the sink, locked, face down, as usual. She handed me a plate and smiled. "Eat before it gets cold." I didn't move. "Emma," I said, quietly, "where were you last night?" She blinked, confused. "Home. Why?" "You sure?" She frowned. "Of course I'm sure. Why are you asking me that?" I didn't say a word. I just tapped the screen on my phone and played the video. The sound of laughter filled the room. Their laughter. Then her voice, soft and familiar, saying his name, in a way she hadn't said mine in months. Her face drained of color. She froze, then slowly looked at me. Where did you get that?" "Does it matter?" I said, keeping my tone calm. Too calm. "Tom, I can explain." I slammed my hand on the counter. Don't you dare." She flinched. Tears filled her eyes instantly, but I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. "Do you know how disgusting this is? With him, my best friend, the man who's been in our home, eating dinner with us, holding our daughter? You lied to me every single day." "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to—" "Don't give me that cliché," I snapped. "You meant for it. You planned it. Every time I told you I loved you, you were already with him." She broke down, covering her face with her hands. I watched her cry, but I didn't move closer. I'd cried enough for both of us already. Then she looked up at me, desperate. "It's over, Tom, I swear. It's been over for weeks. I was going to tell you, I just didn't know how." I laughed. Not the kind of laugh you hear in comedies. The kind that sounds like something inside you just cracked. "You were going to tell me when, Emma? After your next late meeting? Or when I'd find you in our bed with him?" Silence. Just the sound of the clock ticking behind us. The same clock that had caught her. She reached for me. "Please, we can fix this. For our daughter. For us." I took a step back. "No, Emma. You broke this. And some things can't be fixed." I grabbed my keys, my jacket, and walked toward the door. She followed, crying, begging me to stay, but I didn't turn around. I stopped for 1 second before leaving. "You know what hurts the most?" I said quietly. "Not that you cheated, but that you made me believe we were happy." Then I walked out. And that's how I lost my wife and my best friend in one night. But maybe that's also the night I found the truth. It's strange how quiet life becomes after the chaos ends. For weeks, the silence in my apartment felt unbearable. No sound of the coffee machine she used every morning. No faint humming from the bathroom while she brushed her hair. Just nothing. The first few days were torture. I'd wake up and still reach for her side of the bed, only to feel cold sheets. I'd check my phone expecting a message from her, even though I knew there wouldn't be one. And when my daughter asked where Mommy was, I couldn't even look her in the eyes. I told her Mommy was staying somewhere else for a while. She didn't understand, of course. How could she? She was only 6. Meanwhile, my best friend, or the man I thought was my best friend, tried calling. Dozens of times. I never answered. Then he showed up at my place once. I didn't open the door. Just watched him through the peephole as he stood there with that same guilty look I'd seen in the video. He waited for 10 minutes, then left. That was the last time I ever saw him. For months, I went through the motions. Work, home, silence, repeat. But even in the emptiness, something inside me started shifting. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. It was detachment. Like I was finally stepping outside of the wreckage and seeing it for what it was. A house that had burned down long before the fire started. I started running again. I picked up old hobbies, reconnected with friends I'd pushed away. Slowly, I began to feel human again. But healing never comes in a straight line. One Saturday morning, about 6 months after I left her, I took my daughter to a local park. It was one of those perfect days. Warm, with that early summer breeze that makes you forget for a second how broken life can be. She ran toward the swings, laughing. I sat on a bench, just watching her. Then I heard a voice. Familiar. Too familiar. Tom? I turned my head, and there she was. Emma. She looked different. Thinner, tired, like she hadn't slept properly in weeks. She wasn't wearing makeup, and her hair was tied messily in a way that used to drive me crazy. But the worst part? My heart still reacted. "Hey," I said carefully. "Hi," she whispered. Her eyes went straight to our daughter. "She's gotten so big." "Yeah," I replied. "She misses you." Her lips trembled. "I miss her too." We stood there in silence for a while. The air between us was heavy, full of everything unsaid. Finally, she spoke. "Can we talk? Please?" I didn't want to. Every instinct told me to walk away, but there was something in her voice. Not guilt, not manipulation, just exhaustion. We sat on a bench while our daughter played nearby. "I owe you the truth," she said. "About everything." I stayed quiet. She took a deep breath. "It wasn't just about him. The affair, it wasn't about love or attraction. It was about me. About feeling seen again. About feeling alive. You were so busy, Tom. You stopped looking at me like I mattered." I clenched my jaw. "So that's your excuse?" "No," she said quickly. "It's not an excuse. It's a reason. And a reason isn't the same as justification." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. "I hate what I did. Every single day. And I hate that I hurt you. I didn't cheat because I stopped loving you. I cheated because I stopped loving myself." For the first time in months, I didn't see a liar in front of me. I saw a broken person. The same one I'd once promised to love when she was whole and when she wasn't. We sat there in silence again, watching our daughter swing higher and higher, her laughter echoing through the park. Then Emma said something I didn't expect. "He's gone, you know. The guy. He left after everything came out. Said he couldn't handle the guilt. Moved to another city." I didn't reply. What could I say? There was no satisfaction in hearing it, no justice, just emptiness. She looked at me one last time. "I don't expect forgiveness. I wanted you to know the truth. Because you deserved it." And then she stood up and walked away. I watched her go, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because I forgave her, but because I finally realized forgiveness wasn't for her, it was for me. That night, when I tucked my daughter into bed, she asked me if Mommy would come back home someday. I smiled softly and said, "No, sweetheart, but we'll be okay." And for the first time in months, I actually believed it.
A year can change everything, or nothing at all. In my case, it did both. It's been 12 months since the day I saw Emma at the park, since that final conversation that left me both hollow and, strangely, free. Life didn't magically fix itself afterward, but it began to move again. My daughter started school that fall. I moved into a new apartment closer to my work, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I could wake up without that heavy, invisible weight sitting on my chest. There were still nights when memories crept in, her laughter echoing from another life, her hand on my shoulder, the smell of her perfume on my shirts. But they came less and less often, fading like old photographs left too long in the sun. I thought I was finally past it, until the letter arrived. It was a quiet Tuesday morning. I was drinking coffee, half listening to the radio, when I noticed an envelope on the floor by my door. No return address, my name written in handwriting I knew too well. I froze. For a full minute, I just stared at it. Then, with a deep breath, I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No date, no greeting, just her words. "Tom, if you're reading this, I've probably hesitated 100 times before sending it. There's so much I could say, and none of it will change what I did. But I need you to hear me, one last time. I was broken, and instead of asking for help, I broke us. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to reply. But I want you to know that everything you gave me, every memory, every laugh, every piece of kindness, it wasn't wasted. You were the best part of my life, and I destroyed it because I didn't know how to love myself the way you loved me. Our daughter is lucky to have you. Please tell her one day that her mom loved her more than anything, even when I didn't know how to love right. I'm leaving town soon, maybe for good. Don't worry, it's not running away, it's just starting over. Take care of yourself, Tom. You deserve a love that doesn't hurt. Emma." By the time I finished reading, my hands were trembling. Not out of anger, but something else, something quieter. I read the letter again, slower this time. The words didn't sting like I expected them to. They just settled, like a final page turning in a book that had been opened too long. For a few minutes, I sat there in silence. Then, without thinking too much, I took out a piece of paper and wrote just one line. "Thank you for the truth. I hope you find peace." I didn't send it. I didn't need to. The act of writing it was enough. That night, I took my daughter out for ice cream. She laughed the whole way there, chocolate smeared on her cheeks, telling me stories about her friends from school. Watching her, I realized something that almost made me laugh. For the longest time, I thought Emma's betrayal had destroyed my life, but it hadn't. It had stripped it down, painfully, brutally, until only the real parts remained. I wasn't the same man I was a year ago. I wasn't bitter anymore. I wasn't broken. I was just me. And maybe for the first time, that was enough. As we drove home, my daughter fell asleep in the back seat, her small head resting against the window. I looked through the rearview mirror, her mother's eyes, my smile, and whispered, "We're okay, kiddo." The streetlights blurred past, golden streaks cutting through the night. Somewhere out there, Emma was starting over, and so was I. Not as enemies,
not as husband and wife, but as two people who finally learned what love really means and what it costs to lose it. And in that quiet moment, for the first time since everything fell apart, I didn't feel hate.